content on Wikipedia. Another thing is categorization, right? Another thing is categorization. A lot of Wikipedia content on African cinema is not well categorized. It's not well categorized across a lot of countries. You don't just find the right. A lot of them are not just well categorized, and you see it in the next slide. Now, moving away from this, look at the state of stubs as of 2022 for Nollywood. I don't know if you can see the coloring. I think I chose the wrong coloring. But then there is no Nigerian Nollywood content that is a featured article, that is a good article. Only 1%, less than 1% of them feature as a B class. 7.5% of them feature as a C class. And just about 44% of them are on a start. And we have almost a majority as stubs. And Nigeria really has like the most content in Africa when it comes to the African cinema. When it comes to African cinema, Nigeria literally has the bigger share of that pie. And we can see, even for a representative country, you can see that the assessment doesn't tally. Africans are not assessing, African content enough, especially in the cinema side. Now, coming to it, I did a little research in April, across these different categories on the screen. I checked on cinema, I checked on film directors, I checked on screenwriters, actors, actresses, and we tried to see, how many of them actually had articles in them. Many of these categories didn't have articles in them. You can see them in red. And in this, of those of them who had articles in them, only the ones you see in blue had articles that were more than 10. So we had a lot of categories, a lot of cinema-centric categories, that did not have articles in them. And of those of them that had articles in them, we didn't have enough of them up to 10. And we had the Afro Creative Wiki project in July, and we tried to improve this. And you can see the chart on this screen showing how much of that we were able to improve. So where you see yellow was what it was, and what you now see in blue is improvement. For example, the film directors, as at April, we had 123 articles, and by August we had 240 articles, and you can see that for different countries as well. For Rwanda, for example, you had 19 in August. In April, now you have 20, and in some categories you had 7, now you have 10. That's an improvement. And applauds to every community, to every user group, to every campaign out there working to improve this, to improve our content on African cinema. This is how the Afro Creative Wiki project has been helping. Engagement and partnerships. We've been partnering with film festivals. We've been having editathons and contests like the one that just rounded up. We've been putting up video tutorials, and we're currently working on the African Cinema Portal. We're working on an African Cinema Portal, just like we have the African Portal, just like we have the Film Portal. We're currently working on the African Cinema Portal, so we can have this page, this very magazine page, where we have different content about different well-curated content across Africa put up. And we're also coding a couple of templates as well, stop templates, category templates, award templates as well. Those could be very technical to do for the average editor, but we're taking the pains to put that through and so also share with people how to do that. Why should we care about African content, everyone? See, why we should really care about African cinema content on Wikipedia is because our films are our history and our culture. We can really have the Wiki Loves Monuments and Wiki Loves Africa contest every year, but then people can really relate to films easily. So that's it. So, and it also helps us eliminate bias. It also gives us more visibility. And the more people can see our films, the more people are going to patronize and invest in our film industry. So that means more jobs. So these are different ways you can participate. Once again, keep creating and editing content on African cinema. Keep assessing, please. When you see stops, try and see if they are still supposed to be stops, or if they should get a better grading. Join us at the Afro Creative Wiki project. You could just Google and you'd see the meta And also feel free to suggest. And if you've got any questions, you could easily use the different Twitter handles and links on the screen. Thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, thank you.
I can't see my slides yet. Yeah. Well, hello everyone. Hello Africa. Hello world. This is Alaafiabami, Isaac, and Busola from Free Knowledge Africa. I'll just be continue. Well, I'll just continue from where Daniel stopped, but this will be talking about the sports sector. Daniel started with the cinema sector, and there's a lot of similarity in the problem. So I and Isaac will present the slide, and Busola is going to say will just help us balance our opinions and say something we missed. So we came about uh, the Afro Sports concept, the Afro Sports, the project and the contest. When we discovered in an article by the World Economic Forum that sports is a powerful influence in bringing about inspiration and sense of team spirit and bonding experience. Then we also carried out a research. We also carried out a research where we learned that the economic potential of the global sports industry is about $500 billion, and we realized that uh, Africa has access to little under 2 billion US dollars in this industry, and we asked ourselves why. We discovered that the colonization of the sports sector, due to inadequate information on open source platforms such as Wikipedia, is a reason. The underrepresentation of indigenous African sports, indigenous African games is also a reason why Africa has not lived to this potential. And naturally, Africa, with a population of over 1.2 billion, should have at least nothing less than 10 billion of this of this economic benefits, economic potential of that. Like that is about 50 billion US dollars. So we thought about how can we increase this concept. Then we thought about then we came up with Afro Sports. So AfroSports is a project by Free Knowledge Africa that is focused on creating content relating to African sports and games. That is the simple definition of AfroSports, and our goals is our goal is to bridge the huge content gap and improve on the systemic bias, and remove the systemic bias in respect to the African continent by getting real African stories and viewpoints into the mainstream. I'm sorry about that error there. So, everyone, I'm sure a lot of I believe it is general knowledge that there's a systemic bias against Africa on Wikipedia and all other Wikimedia platforms. I believe AfroSports as a contest, as a project, helps to bridge that gap. So we saw what Sam and the rest of the team did with AfroSign, and I was part of the team at some point, at various points. So I just thought, oh, let's just make that possible in the sports sector. I think Isaac would be talking from here. We'll talk about our past and present project and what we plan to achieve. Yeah, thank you, Isaac.
Thank you, Alafia. So, earlier this year, we started with some of our plans because the whole idea of Afro Sports came up last year in a conversation when we were just discussing as Wikimedians. Or this year, we actually started and we worked on a pilot project in May this year. So, Alafia, please, the next slide. So, we worked on a pilot project in May this year where we had a writing contest. We called it the African Games and Sport Writing Contest, where we decided that in any in Nigeria. It was limited to Nigeria actually, to any of the language Wikipedias from Nigeria. And we were able to like have about 2,000, over 2,000 articles at the end of the contest. I'm talking about sports professionals, stadiums, sports institutions, like a lot of topics related to sports. So we had over 2,000 articles from that contest of about 45 days. So we are moving forward to doing a bigger contest next year, an African-wide contest next year. And the next thing on our plan, our milestone should be like we are trying to get people from African countries, from other parts of Africa, to join us in organizing and managing these projects. So we are going to be sharing a call for facilitators to join us on this campaign. People who are interested in sports and also want to bridge the gap. So would like them to join us, especially from these different regions of Africa, like East Africa, West Africa, South Africa, Central Africa, North Africa. And we plan to like host a African Sports Symposium next year, January, a virtual one where we'll be talking about African sports and the role that open access platforms like Wikipedia, WikiData, and other play so as to raise awareness of what people can do and how people can contribute and to get a wider reach for the contest. And finally, by February to March, we'll be having the contest, a continental contest that is like reaching across the whole depth and breadth of Africa, where people will be able to contribute about different local games. And as part of what we'll be doing the symposium, we'll be discussing how we can give visibility to um some of these local games that don't have covering, that don't have access, to discuss how we can navigate that challenge and ensure that we are able to ensure that these articles stay on Wikipedia, especially for the indigenous games, because we have a lot of games and sports that are still not having enough coverage. So the next slide, Alafia. And finally, we are starting the call for facilitators who will be helping us out with the symposium and the contest. So if you're interested or if you know someone who would be interested, you can just share the link with them to join us. We'll reach out to them after submitting the form and would initiate additional conversations with them. So I'll be passing the mic to Sola now to give a recap and a roundup of the session.
Okay, thank you, Isaac. Just like what my colleagues have said, what we aim to achieve with AfroSports is to bring out African sports to the limelight. You know, our athletes, our sports, our games, our stadiums. You know, we had a lot of games and sports we grew up playing. You know, and even outside the European and Western sports we play, there are some sports and games that are unique to Africans. We are unique to our regions, what we grew up knowing before we even knew about the Western and European games. So we are trying to put them all in the limelight. You know, most of these games and sports are already going extinct. A lot of people don't really know about them and are just focused on the popular ones. So we are trying to remind people to bring out content on Africa, on our games, and our sports, and even our athletes that are representing Africa on the global scale. You know, we need to write content on them. There are some of them that don't even really have Wikipedia articles. We need to like bring visibility to them so that we also can stand out in the sports sector. So I think that's what we are trying to achieve with Afro Sports. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We can move on to the next person. If you have anything you want to share with us, or you want to reach out to us as an organization, or just send a mail to info@freeknowledgeafrica.org. We are looking forward to see you. Bye.
Thank you.
Applications. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, and please register as a facilitator. Yeah.
Greetings from Kigali. Hi, everyone. Greetings from Kigali. My name is Isaac Olatunde from Leadership Development Working Group. And now my colleague who is joining remotely, goodness Ignatius, who is also presenting with me as we talked about the work of the Leadership Development Working Group. Next slide. Next slide. Next. So what is the Leadership Development Working Group? The Leadership Development Working Group was established this year on the basis of the fact that investing in people's leadership skills result in successful implementation of projects and helps to grow and sustain our movement. Of course, as a movement, leadership is very key, and it's a part on everything we do, from on-wiki participations and conflict resolution to off-wiki organizational development, management, partnership, everything at all. Leadership has a key roles to play. And one of the recommendations of the movement strategy is invest in skills and leadership. So when this recommendation was proposed, it became very important for us to begin to look at a strategic approach to implement that recommendation. And the Leadership Development Working Group was established as a strategic working group that will help to drive the implementations of this recommendation. So who are this group of people? How were they formed? And what do they do exactly? So it's a global community-driven working group, which means that it is completely run by volunteers. And the current structure includes 15 members with diversity in geography. That is, all regions of the world are represented on the group. And these 15 members speak 17 languages. And of course, it's also gender is also one of the key criteria that was used in designing this group. We want a balanced, group of people. Other criteria that was used was their years in the movement, the roles they played in their various communities, the level of experiences, and the roles they played, in the past few years, both in terms of facilitation of project, tech, and translation support and likes. Next. So what do they do? What do this group, do basically? The group, unpack the meaning of leadership as it relates to different communities and experiences across the movement. Wikimedia movement is a very complex community. And of course, leadership definitions varies from culture to culture. Even in the corporate world, they have different meanings to different people. And of course, in the Wikimedia movement as well, it means very differently for people. So it's important for us to have a shared, definition of leadership so that we are on the same page or we have the same understanding of what, leadership means. So to understand our various communities with their challenges and achievements, and to find a common path which we can all follow. So the Leadership Development Working Group has three, goals basically. The goals includes the drafting of a shared definition of leadership. Like I said, we need to have a shared, understanding of what leadership means in the context of the Wikimedia movement. So this group is helping to draft that definition, and to also create a leadership development plan, that will be implemented by various communities across board, and also to guide the implementations of the leadership development plan, because we feel this is something that is very important, that impact on what we do, on a daily basis, on wiki, off wiki, and all of that. So it's important for us to have a guidance document, that we help in, both in the implementation of the leadership development plan, and also to, support growing communities who are interested, in growing and, expanding in terms of, leadership development. So I'm going to hand over to my colleagues, Goodness, who is joining remotely from Nigeria, to take it off from me. Goodness, over to you.
All right, thank you, Isaac. I'll be moving on to the next slide. Okay, where we are now, we started in June 2022. We began work in the first month where we We did a lot of discussions, a lot of brainstorming, a lot of storytelling to get the definition of leadership and how it works in our communities. And we heard from different community members. We worked offline and offline to achieve these tasks. And in August 2022, we finalized the draft of the definition and we sent it out to the community September 2022 for feedback. And in October, we got this feedback. We got the feedback. We got the feedback. We conducted community calls for the Western and the Eastern Hemisphere. We got their feedback, and we drafted the shared definition of leadership. Next slide. So with the feedback we got from different community members, with the feedback we got from different community members, we reflected it in the current definition of leadership. These are some reflections. I'm not going to share all now. The link is in the on the document. So these are some of the reflections on the broad overarching definition. As you can see, before now, it was leadership can be understood as the ability to guide, inspire, build autonomy, encourage, and motivate a group of people towards a future. So because of the feedback we got, we changed it to towards a shared goal or community or common vision. So the same way we saw leadership, we defined leadership as having a complex or nuanced setting. Because of the feedback, we also changed that to becoming a multifaceted. And we got a very beautiful feedback during our community call from one of the attendees who reflected or pointed out that we do not have effective communication, maybe written somewhere on the leadership definition and categories. And yes, we are working towards that to make sure that it's reflected on the definition or on the categories. Next slide. Okay, and at the end of the day, we would have summary of feedback, different feedbacks from different communities. We would work together, put this feedback, and we would make sure that the feedback we got is incorporated into this definition. And at the end of the day, we would be posted this the final definition on Meta, where everybody can see, use, and refer to. Next. So, like Isaac said earlier, it is important to invest in skills and leadership because development will allow us to intentionally make our movement more distributed and more sustainable, and it will be a leadership for all, not just for a particular group of people making decision or taking decision. Leadership would be general, would be seen everywhere. We will hear feedback, we would involve our community members, we will involve everybody. We want to hear from everybody, and the opinion of everybody would count and matter. Next slide. Okay, there are ways you can reach out to us. You can reach out to us through our mail. You can also read monthly updates via the MetaWiki report. We are also on the Movement Strategy Forum. You can share the feedback on the Meta Talk page, Leadership Development Working Group on Meta. You go to the discussion, share your feedback, ask questions. And if you also want to be contacted, you can sign up for updates on Meta Wiki, or you send us an email at leadership working group at wikimedia.org. Thank you all. Next slide.
So thank you, Goodness, for that for that presentation. So I really want to make something very clear. Our leadership definition is trying to avoid a situation where you have. We're not trying to impose leadership on people. We're just trying to create, a situation where power is shared. You don't have a single person, giving direct, authority or unnecessarily being bossy to colleagues. So we're trying to ensure that people have a clear understanding of what leadership means in terms of shared responsibility and the like. So You can always, send us an email if you don't want to reach out to the broader community. You can contact me directly, or goodness, if you want to learn more about the work of the Leadership Development Working Group. So thank you everyone for listening. Bye for now.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Achukwu Onyinye. I'm the hub coordinator for Anambra Wikimedia Usergroup. I'm a member of Wikimedia Usergroup Nigeria. I'm here to talk about Wiki Loves Names. Yeah, Wiki Loves Names. Wiki is just an acronym that represents Wikimedia. Then it means that Wiki loves names. Name is the name of a person, animal, place, or thing. So, how can we preserve names? Next slide. Africans attach a lot of importance to the names they bear, both individual names and names of their communities. There are varied reasons for this. These names are so valued that in any case of any community or anybody in that community try to change those names, this usually leads to a disagreement in the entire community, leading to crisis that can lead to unimaginable things. It can affect that community negatively in one way or the other. Next slide. Most names were derived from forefathers, streams, rivers, deities, hills, markets, trees, and other landmarks. While families and individuals usually take the names after their family members. For example, if a man's name is George and he gave birth to 4 children, all of them must bear his name. For example, Jane George, Jude George, Wilfrey George, and all whatnot. They must bear the man's surname in order to trace the background of that person. And also market days. We have 4 market days. For example, in Igbo tribe in Nigeria, we have 4 market days. These market days are usually valuable to us. They are Eke, Orie, Afo, Nkwo, and also a name of a person can represent heroes, heroines, and other more important institutions. Next slide. Like I said before, in the olden days, Igbo people in Nigeria named their children after the 4 market days. Eke, Orie, Afo, Nkwo. That is why there are so many names. As a girl that is born on Afo Day can be called Mbwafo. A girl that is born on Orie Day can be called Mbori. A girl that is born on Nkwo Day can be called Nwanyi Nkwo. And a girl that is born on Eke Day can be called Mbweke. Likewise, the person that is born on Nkwo as a girl, she can be called Nkwomma. While men can be named Okonkwo. Okonkwo means a person that is a man that is born on Nkwo Day, while Okoli is a man that is born on Ure Day. Likewise, Okeke, Okafor, Nwafọ, Nweke, and among others. Next, all these names were names given in the ancient days, and most of these names no longer exist as we stand today, as we hear today. In addition to this, families name their children those names to symbolize their experiences in life or circumstances that surrounds the birds. For example, an Igbo name, Onochie, Onochie is normally given to first son of a family in the olden days. Likewise, for example, a family that is passing through hardship, they might give birth to a girl and they might decide to name that girl Nwakego. This means that a child is more valuable than wealth, and so on. Next slide. There are over thousands of Igbo names and other African names that weren't captured anywhere, especially those ancient names. These names were not written anywhere. It passes from generation to generation, from forefathers through the word of the mouth. And these names are going into extinction. Most of these young generations are not even aware of these names. And this will be worse if nothing is done about it, and if this is not captured now. Next slide. What data are we going to present to the generations unborn? What are we going to tell them? When we are not there, who will explain to them about all these names? How can they trace their history? How are they going to trace their background? Next slide. We intend to close this gap between the ancient names and the younger generations, and in the same time, solve the problem of low participation in African languages contributors in contributing to African dictionaries as an online educational resource and creation of contents in Wiktionary. Next slide. Current milestone. We have completed the median edition. We organized 2 trainings. It was hybrid training, physical and online, and 2 editathons. And in order to ascertain the level of understanding of the participants and also to create content on Igbo Wiktionary platform. Next slide. The outcome. Like I said before, we had 2 pieces of training, 2 editathons, and 1 contest. This contest will ginger their spirits in order to contribute more to Wiktionary as they do to Wikipedia. We targeted 100 as in edits. We targeted 40 editors, and the outcome was so overwhelmed. At the completion of the contest, we had 54 editors that contributed to Wiktionary. We also created 958 pages on Igbo Wiktionary platform because we used this to test run the project. We also edited 972 pages, and we had total 1.21K. This was gotten from our outreach was all these edits cannot be tracked because our Wiktionary came out of the incubator during the contest on 13th of October. So most of the edits weren't able to be traced up to today. the contest ended on 16th October. So hopefully we are still looking at the outreach, and also we've communicated with the team to know how we can trace those edits. Next slide. Thank you. Join us today in tracing your cultural heritage and enriching Wiktionary. You can contact me because I look forward partnering with all the user groups in Africa in order to trace this cultural heritage, in order to contribute to Wikilove's names. You can contact me through my email or my Facebook. Thank you for listening. Any question?
All right, thank you so much. My name is Mohammed Kamaldin Husseini. I go with the username Dnshitobu. I'll be co-presenting with Hamidu Rukaya. She goes with the username Ruky Wunpini. Next slide, please. Today we're going to be talking about Dagbani Wikipedia Saha. What is Dagbani Wikipedia Saha? Dagbani Wikipedia Saha is a tele-education program or project that is aimed at reaching out to the people in the outer world, people who have never heard of Wikipedia, people who want to participate in trainings, people who want to participate in the lectures and the events we organize, but as a result of distance, they are not able to get to the event centers or the event venue. We get to reach out to them through the Dagbani Wikipedia Saha. What this means is that we collaborate with a national television, and we get to organize a training session, let's say how to add references on Wikipedia articles. So maybe on a Saturday or whichever day you choose it. But for this project, we have chosen Saturdays. So we come on a national television, then we take a particular concept of Wikipedia to treat. It could be how to upload pictures on Wikimedia Commons, how to add Wikidata items, how to add references on what's the name, either Wikipedia or on Wikidata items. And we are doing this because of the earlier aim that I mentioned. People want to come to your event, but you don't have the space to accommodate them. They are staying very far from you, and they cannot come to the event venue. Again, there are people who would want to get to participate in your online activities, but because of data and other network issues, they don't get to join. So we use this project to reach out to the masses, tell them that Wikipedia is not edited by robots, it's not edited by people with heads as big as the elephants. They are just edited by people who have the knowledge of maybe what they are putting across, and also referencing them from well sourced sites. Next slide, please. So I'll pass the microphone to my colleague, Ruky Wunpini, if you are on.
I don't think she's yeah, she's muted during her audio.
Okay, I'm sure she's having challenges with her audio. Okay, so just to continue with the presentation, the goals of this is to produce video content, like I explained earlier. More often than not, when people come for training and you get to organize these trainings for them, they get back home, and maybe the next time you want them, because of distance and because you don't get to give them transportation, they cannot make it. But if they have a national television, what they watch for free, they can get to still watch that same content being treated there. We use it as a medium to recruit people. Dagbani is a language Wikipedia, just like the English Wikipedia and any other language in the world. And most people don't know that you can get to write on Wikipedia in your own language. So getting this on a national television gives us a chance to recruit more editors. We also, once we recruit these people, we give them more training, then they get to contribute to the articles that we have. And again, we get to form partnership with other organizations in the country that are into language digitization or language upliftment. For instance, just quite recently, because of our Dagbani Wikipedia ZA project, the natural language processing community in Ghana reached out to us, and currently we are training AI machines to learn how to speak Dagbani and other Ghanaian languages. We also use it as an opportunity to network with other community members in different user groups across the globe. Next slide, please. So whatever we record, it is played on the TV, then we upload it on our YouTube channel, and we also get to stream that on our Facebook channels. So basically, that's what we do with Dagbani Wikipedia to reach more people using or leveraging on mass media, that is television. So this is a picture of the season 1 of the Dagbani Wikipedia Saha. This is a section of the production crew. We just took a picture just to serve as evidence, and we usually pre-record it, then we get to send it to the TV station to play it for us. Next slide, please. So you can always reach out to us via social media using any of these hashtags. We'll get to paste this in the chat for you. Next slide. Next slide, please. All right, so these are useful links you can get to learn more about the Dagbani Wikipedia Saha. The first link you are seeing there is the meta page for Dagbani Wikipedia Saha. We have the commons category where we upload the images. Then we have our YouTube channel called Dagbani Wikipedia Saha. So whatever videos we have recorded, you can still have access to them at any time, any day, anywhere. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and that's the end of the lightning talks. Thank you everyone for for attending, and see you in the other sessions. Thank you.